It's been nearly a decade since Nature Journal published this piece on science-specific academic social networking sites. As we get ready to put together our Web 2.0 projects, I think it's worth considering if much has changed in how scientists use social websites to communicate their ideas and work. Well, looking at the data about how scientists use different social networking sites, it's clear that the popular social networking platforms are still more widely used than their academic counterparts. While ResearchGate has outpaced its competitors, including Nature Journal's own Nature Network, it still has a relatively small audience compared to more traditional social networking sites. While director of the University of Washington's Friday Harbor Laboratories, Billy Swala, says, "Every important paper I thought I should read has come from ResearchGate." Daniel MacArthur, a geneticist at Mass General Hospital, says, "I've met basically no academics in my field with a favorable view of ResearchGate." Nature Journal seems to recognize that, to some degree, many of these sites are relying on vanity metrics that don't measure the value of the interactions on the site, just the volume. Which seems like a counterintuitive way to compete with the big platforms, but ultimately, the goal of these sites is to make a profit. Regardless, it still seems like the best way to reach a niche or wider audience is to use the sites that most people are using. One aspect of this piece that's important to look at would be some of the ways that these academia-specific social networking sites alienate their core audience. Misattributed work, lack of transparency regarding data scrubbing and paywalls, and no realistic workarounds for the barriers that commonly stand between academics and a wider audience. The abiding sentiment seems to be that if we can't use these online tools to undercut the monolithic academic publishing industry, then what's the point? This tense relationship between the academic publishing industry and the academics it seeks to platform is interesting to consider. This anonymous source in the piece we read says, "I hardly know any scientists who don't violate copyright laws. We just fly below the radar and hope that the publishers don't notice." There's much to say about the future of academic discourse in the social web. Academia tends to skew older demographically and more skeptical, meaning academics aren't really early adopters. However, Web 3.0 technology, like the blockchain, presents fascinating possibilities in how it challenges and seeks to redefine concepts of ownership. And we've already seen how ChatGPT, a relatively gimmicky representation of the potential of machine learning, has really caused a stir in the academy. So it seems as if we might be poised on the cusp of a new kind of information age, one that's predicated more on open source technology and open sharing rather than paywalls and corporate colonialism. But in the meantime, it still seems like Web 2.0 is where the audience lives, whether they're a specifically academically attuned audience or not.